one day, and one of them says he had spent a couple of years in Australia as a what do you call them, forest fire lookout. You know, he said, and they had these forests of these kauri pines. He said, so they looked for the tallest one, and all they did was shave up the side, hammer like steps so you could climb up, and that was his lookout. He would climb up the tallest tree, look out to see if anything was on fire.
You're serious?
And also, this particular tree produces that damur varnish, which is what they use. It's the finest grade varnish they use on oil paintings, and also for you know, like yachts, old Chris Crafts or whatever. So it comes from this particular tree. It's actually a pine needle.
That's true.
It's, somebody put it through the iron press. Now, as we go through the rose garden, I'd like to point out a few things if you want to come back and wander on your own. On the other side of this little walkway, that little area over there is called the History of Roses, or and a lot of the roses in there have French names because Josephine, Napoleon's wife, was such a rose fancier. At Malmaison, apparently she had about 10 gardeners. They hybridized a lot of roses. Therefore, that's why you have these French name old roses. And she also, because to further the rose world as we know it, she kept an artist in residence, and his name was Pierre de Redoute. And in our bookstore here, I think there's some books that of illustrations, because he would illustrate all the roses that she developed. So that's, you know, marketing. It's all about marketing.
Oh,
so. And anyway, there are some old roses over there which are pretty cool. These are David Austin roses. He was a hybridizer, or is a hybridizer in England, that has tried to put the smell and the durability back into roses, which we have quite literally bred out of them just to get the looks. Now, also, as you come down here, now this is an evergreen magnolia. Not very many of these around. I think we know of one in Berkeley. But this has a huge bloom that blooms for 2 days, a diurnal. And it's a gorgeous Asian magnolia. Now this was Mr. Huntington's office.
The tea room?
The tea room today. He had a one-lane bowling alley. He had billiard tables. He had pool tables. And he probably had a desk. And poker tables. See, the guy that told him about this place coming for sale was George Patton, who lived next door. George Patton was the father of our intrepid General Patton, the tank commander of the Second World War. So there was a little piece of land between the two properties that was always in dispute as to, you know, who did the land belong to. So it was said that Mr. Patton and Mr. Huntington would play poker. And that strip of land changed title about 2 or 3 times. And I guess, I think it was already had been decided whoever died, when one of them died, whoever had the title, that's the way it would stand. That would be the way. So it turned out Mr. Huntington won. Oh. This part is called, these are called seasoning herbs. This is capers, if you can believe this. This is where you get your capers. This is the caper plant from the Mediterranean. This is bay leaf, and the laurel tree, sweet bay. Oh, this one you have to smell. This is the curry tree. Smell just the pungent, and then pass it around.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That'll set you free.
Yeah.
And then we have things like lemongrass, oregano, all those things that you use as seasoning herbs. Rosemary. Black cumin. Haven't seen that one before. And then as you come along here, this is cardamom. This is not an herb, this is a spice. rub, just don't pick the leaf, but rub it and then smell your fingers because the furry leaf will let you. But it's if it has to be a small.
Yeah, there's one on the table.
Oh, you have one on the table that you can pick up? Oh, thank you.
Rub the back of it.
Oh, the back. It's the back of it. Okay. Well, it's not doing. It's not very fragrant today.
Yeah, well, kind of
Scratch it.
with
Okay.
your hand,
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
your fingers.
Okay.
I smell it.
This month in the herb garden, we have people who are here to explain that they're focusing on lavender, and I have about 8 people here. If you'd like to talk a little bit about the properties, the wonders of
sounds good.
lavender.
Well, these are all the different items, the things you can do with lavender. You can make decorations. That pillow has a lavender. You can put, you can make sachets and put them in your lingerie drawer.
Would you like to see?
Smell great. You
Take a
have
leaf for
soap.
souvenir.
You can even cook with
Take a
lavender,
leaf for
which I
souvenir.
didn't know until I got here. There's a
That's
book on recipes.
Lavender cuisine.
So,
Well, I have to tell you,
you have
I have
different
been
kinds
able.
of lavender. You have your English, your French, and your Spanish. And Spanish is not as favored.
Which is the most favored or sought after? The English lavender. The thing about lavender is it has antibacterial properties to it. That's why you see so much lavender soap, oils, powders. Yeah, lave in Latin is to wash, so lavender, hence the word lavender. And then the other thing is that I have there's another lady that's a docent here who is from Greece, and she was saying as a young girl, when they rolled up the rugs, because it's so hot, they would either well, what they did was
The lavender will prevent moths from getting into your clothes.
So rather than using mothballs, you go to Smith & Hawkins, buy a pound bag of lavender, put it in little bags, and then put it around, right? And then I have been known to use just the lavender in a little bag and keep throwing it in the dryer. It will refresh the fragrance of the lavender and also make your clothes smell better. So, yeah.
Do you use the bloom or the leaf or the stalk for the moth prevention?
It's the bloom.
The bloom, the dried.
Yeah.
So if you were growing lavender, and you harvest it, you want to just hang it upside down inside your garage, any place. Let it dry naturally. It will dry, especially in our climate, and it will grow in our climate very well. You might have a little trouble if you live in Ohio.
We're in Atlanta.
Well, you probably it's hot enough there that you
you're
can probably
hot enough.
grow it. Yeah,
We have a serious freezes, but
perfume bed. This is all the things that are grown in here. They use to make perfumes. In the middle of the thing, we have our. Oh, I like this. You guys will like this. Alcoholic herbs, which are hops, barley, wormwood. Does anybody know what wormwood is used for?
heard the name.
Absinthe, which was declared illegal in the United States, but I believe is becoming sold again. It's a very hot thing, very trendy right now. But wormwood was the reason they made outlawed absinthe here was because I read this and I love it. It's such a great story. In the First World War, when they had to draft military in France, the military, they needed to fight the Germans. They found out that so many of them were not fit for duty. In other words, they couldn't pass the physical. And they had neurological damage, and it was all because they drank so much absinthe. In fact, it is alleged that Van Gogh went Looney Tune because he drank so much. That's why he got his ear off. But it is something that has something to do. Yeah. It was a working man's drink, and as a poor artist, he could afford to drink that. He and Gauguin and all those guys that used to hang out together. So but it really kind of ruined your brain. So that's why it became outlawed in the United States. Is that absinthe was not allowed to be sold because it did have neurological damage to it. But anyway, we still grow it over here. And we were in Europe about almost 3 years ago, like in Czechoslovakia, and you go by cigar stores and they say absinthe sold here, kind of things. It was sort of like, see if you can get a bottle back, put it in your baggage. But anyway, for those that like to come back and look at herbs, then we have the textile herbs and dyeing herbs are against that particular row of trees. And then next to the building up there are medicinal herbs.